كانت نفسي تراودني.
And then Dawood heard about the Advocacy and Legal Advice Centre. Straight away, he called Hammer and her team, asking them for help. The intervention of the centre and their alerting higher authorities to the situation led to the rogue policeman being rearrested and imprisoned. He was now to serve his sentence. And in a twist to this story, further pressure has led directly to the release of other detainees held illegally and without authority. For others, the centre has managed to have illegal insurance fees charged by some local councils quashed. And they've succeeded in lobbying for the introduction of new bylaws to ease the clogging of the court system. They've also highlighted irregularities in council accounts and conflicts of interest in government tenders. And the campaign against the misuse of government cars has had dramatic results. The money saved amounts to more than $7 million annually. And Mohammed has been nominated for a Special Integrity Award.
This is a big mall. Most people come here. So there's always lots of cars. I come here every day to check, to drive around a little, looking for government license plates. But there are fewer and fewer. Often there are none. In the past there were many, lots of red plates. Now there is only ever one or two. Oh, here is one in front of me. Skoda. Tomorrow we'll check up on it. So just one here at the mall. That makes me really happy.
Post-conflict areas are particularly susceptible to corruption. Institutions can be fragile. Good governance hasn't had time to take root yet. It needs a change of mindset. With their ongoing experience of occupation, the relative success of the efforts being made in Palestine to fight corruption has taken many by surprise.
Our case is unique because, on the one hand, we are a people emerging from a corrupt and corrupting occupation system of really abnormal system of intrusion and control. And most Palestinians resent authority and resent the government and resent systems of control. On the other hand, we had the leadership coming back from exile, emerging from an experience of armed resistance, armed struggle, revolution. A revolution is something you carry out in the dark, underground, you know, with the organizational principles that do not at all carry into institution building, nation building, rule of law, and so on. So we felt we needed to carry out this transition in a way that would do our people a justice.
The Advocacy and Legal Advice Centre has played its part in challenging the system. There are currently more than 50 other such centres doing similar work in countries across the globe, all run by local Transparency International chapters. Often, cases highlight a widespread problem. And so, as well as fighting for the individual, they push for systemic change. Here in the West Bank, their influence goes right to the top.
I mean, there's nothing in the law that says you have to answer an organization like Aman, but we do, and we listen to what they have to say. Again, out of belief and firm conviction, they have a very important role to play. And here we are. Where we are today is vastly superior to where we were last year, year before, and so on and so forth.
Even a verbal commitment to the cause by those in power is itself a sign of progress. Transparency is now a popular word in the West Bank.
The speed with which we get to the point where we have institutions that measure up in integrity and performance to high international standards, I think that's the real test. And this is a key area, as a matter of fact, transparency.
On the whole, people accept and welcome this. They understand that it isn't about punishing people for the sake of it, but about making our country one with standards. The law has to be respected, even though here sometimes the government seems to be absent.
First of all, by being there, I mean, that itself is helpful because it really opens up the system. We see doing these things as an integral part of the national effort aimed at getting us to freedom and independence. The more we're able to assert with credibility that we measure up in performance and in the integrity, structural integrity of our institutions, the better positioned we are. So we value their existence, their activity, and what it is they do.
One of the advice centre's most important goals is encouraging people to speak out and protecting those who do. It's largely fear and lack of knowledge that prevents the victims of corruption from standing up for their legal rights and stop the witnesses of corruption from coming forward. Faraj Khath was summarily dismissed from his government job for political reasons. For years, he wasn't given the money he was due. But that all changed the day he called the advice line.
Most places you call them and they don't even pick up the phone. I had that for 4 years. But with Aman, in less than a month, I got all the money I was owed. In less than a month.
Faraj was fired, along with others in the same position, when his political bosses were replaced. He then seemed blacklisted, unable to find work, and unable to support his young family. This is a form of corruption that Faraj thinks has to be confronted.
I couldn't believe there was an organization here in Palestine that could be so efficient. People talk about the police and the government, but you can't rely on them. Go to someone who will look after you and communicate your message.
Faraj's case highlights the importance of ordinary people speaking out. And having received proper legal advice from Hammer and her team, he was paid all the money that was due to him, and he's now found work in a car showroom. The centre does all it can to get to the root of the problem, so that others might follow in Faraj's footsteps, and it takes its message directly to the public.
If something's wrong, it should be confronted. And this message has been communicated well to the people. If we did the same tour a couple of years ago, we might have found 50 cars not in the proper parking spaces. We've been going 2 hours and we've caught 2 cars. I've made a note of the place and the license plates.
Some people interpret the law about car use as exempting higher government officials. Mohammed disagrees. It compromises his campaign. Every car he sees, he'll inquire about it the next day.
I know who this is. I don't even need to write it down. I know the number by heart. Tomorrow I'll ask him why he was coming to the mall.
Faraj is now determined that others should benefit as he has done. He wants more people to stand up for their rights, and he's eager to exert a bit of pressure of his own.
After we dealt with your complaint and we were successful, we've had a lot of similar complaints from people in the same situation.
They've probably been elsewhere first and didn't get any help. Many people need your help, people who have been sacked for corrupt reasons. You must try to help these people. You need to publicize yourselves more, then others will come to you.
You see?